We'll start our call off now with our first coach up, Alabama A&M head football coach Anthony Jones. And, of course, Alabama A&M defeated Arkansas Pine Bluff 50-42. Good morning, Coach Jones. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning. How are you?
Good, Coach. If you could talk about your victory over Arkansas Pine Bluff, and you are one of the few teams that plays this coming week as well at Georgia Tech. If you could preview the Yellow Jackets.
Well, I mean, it was this weekend. It was an exciting game for all involved. We knew they were very, very explosive offensively, and we knew they didn't have a chance against them, that we would have to find a way to score some points. It was an exciting game right from the beginning. They took the opening drive. Maybe 4 plays are in the end zone, and then we come back and answer in 4 plays. But then they came back and answered a couple of more touchdowns on us, and so now we're down 21-7. And then we came storming back, scored a touchdown, kicked a field goal, and then also got a safety. So the halftime is 21-19. We come out in the second half, and we end up scoring, and then it was kind of a back and forth kind of thing for a while. Then they go up on, they score twice, and then that puts them up. I think it was 8 points, and then we scored and went up 1. And we'll kick the field goal and then scored and went up 1. And it was an exciting game back and forth. We were able to score, make it 50-42. I really thought we scored too soon, and because they're very dangerous, but they didn't have any timeouts remaining, and we were very fortunate to get an interception to seal the game and end the game. Again, a lot of yards, a lot of points. Great game for the fans. Monty always has his team ready to play. Coach Coleman, him and I go way back, good friends. But one of them tough games you got to play, but, you're glad it's over. But we were able to squeak out a very, very tough game, close game. Next week, we go to Georgia Tech, play them at their place. They're an ACC team, and watching them on film, they're very talented, very fast on defense. The offense, they're very attacking with that option game that they run, and makes them very, very tough to defend, and they have that speed. So it's going to be a major challenge for us. We'll be up for it. We'll go down there, get our team ready to play, and put forth our best effort and see how this thing prevails. And that's pretty much it.
All right, the floor is now open for Alabama A&M head football coach Anthony Jones. Coach, has this been the best output as far as your running game and passing game complementing each other? Your take on is this the best output the whole season?
Well, offensively, it's without a doubt our most productive day offensively. I don't think it's our most productive day as far as running the football. I think we had close to 300 yards. May have been against Prairie View. I can't.
Well, what I mean is like the balanced offensive attack. Is
the
most
best definitely.
Balance on your offense this season.
Without a doubt, I think we had over 200 yards rushing. We had over 300 yards passing. I think we ended up punting the ball one time and 1 turnover. So this was our most productive day offensively. The thing that happened today is what we was hoping would happen throughout the year. Our guys kind of grew up this past weekend, and they made some plays. You can X and O and all you want, and those X and O's look awful good on the board, but they don't mean nothing until they come to life. And the guys who are out there playing, they got to make those plays come to life. And this weekend, our guys made them come to life, and it was an exciting game, and it was very exciting and rewarding to see the offense have such an explosion and look at some of the potential that we do have. Hello?
We're still taking questions for Alabama A&M head coach Anthony Jones. Coach, a year ago you made a trip to Auburn, and this one is the Georgia Tech. Does that do anything from a recruiting standpoint, knowing that signing with A&M, you get two pretty good solid shots at playing on national television?
I think it does. I think whenever you can expand who you're playing against, and particularly when they're nationally known, it's going to motivate guys to come to your school. They know that when they line up against Georgia Tech and the Auburns of the world, there'll be some pro scouts there looking at them, and that's their opportunity to show what they can do against some prospective athletes as far as NFL prospects. So they get a chance to compete against them, and if they do well, then maybe their name get put on the radar. Anytime you can expand your level of competition, it helps with recruiting, and so that's what we're looking at this as being a part of.
You talked about players growing up and maturing. What areas you were looking for in terms of Lee's maturation and of course, Barrington Scott or any other offensive players that were instrumental in that output on Saturday?
Well, I mean, what we hadn't done, we put ourselves in a position to make plays. We hadn't made the plays. A lot of overthrows, underthrows, misreads, drop balls, missed block here, the whole gamut of things. And this past Saturday, it all came together. We put the kids in a position to make the throw. There were some great catches out there made Saturday. There were some great blocks downfield. Guys were finishing plays. They weren't offering a lot of excuses as to this and that. They were just out there playing football, having fun playing football. And, Pine Bluff is doing the same thing, man. And Ben Anderson, man, he is something special, man. He is a true dual threat. And he kept us on our heels the whole day. And but the way our offense kept responding to their response made it a great football game. And but guys just making plays, and that's like I said, you can X and O all you want, but if you're not making the plays, you're not executing the assignments, they mean absolutely nothing. And the guys executed Saturday.
Do we have any more questions for Alabama A&M head coach Anthony Jones? All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and we wish you well this week at Georgia Tech.
Thank you much.
That's Anthony Jones, Alabama A&M head football coach. Again, A&M will face Georgia Tech in Atlanta, 12:30 kickoff. The game can be seen live on ESPN3. Next up on the call is Alabama State and Reggie Barlow. Alabama State defeated Mississippi Valley State by a final score of 19-7. ASU, however, will not play again until Thursday, November 28th. That is the Turkey Day Classic, in which they will host Stillman on ESPNU for a 4 p.m. kick. Good morning, Coach Barlow. Are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Coach. If you could talk about Mississippi Valley and talk about your preparation. You got a little dead time before you host Stillman College.
Yeah, we went to Itabena to play against Valley, and it's time of the season. You're trying to work on the mindset of your student athletes. One, because, okay, all right, you don't have a chance to go and play for a SWAC championship. Neither do they. So you talk about trying to get the minds right to focus on maybe some personal goals or some team goals, offensively, defensively, and special teams, because you got to create that environment that we're playing for something. And we knew it would be tough going there. It always is. Defensively, Valley has always been good here the last, 4 or 5 years, 3 to 5 years or so with Coach Morgan. And So we knew we had our work cut out for us. I thought our defense played really well, played lights out. Our defensive line was physical, and we were able to get some pressure on the quarterback. Was able to get some turnovers. They just did a good job. Thought our secondary stepped up and played much better than they had played the last couple of weeks. Offensively, we never got in rhythm, and of course Valley had a lot to do with that. I mean, we didn't run it particularly well. They were able to get some sacks on us, and our guys were, we just didn't get it done offensively. We were able to get a score defensively, and right before the half, and it was a wild one there, and there are some. I think, and this is my personal opinion about. I think we got to get replay for our conference. I think it'll help us. It's a tough job on those officials to make calls at point-blank range, and I know it may be costly, but I think that's something. And I'm speaking on it because it was something that happened that didn't, I think we had some block in the backs on the touchdown that our guy scored, and the guy might have stepped out of bounds, which I hate that for Valley, but I don't know. Maybe that's something we all can look into. Stillman College, our Turkey Day Classic, we're playing here, which is homecoming for us. It's always a festive environment. We don't know a bunch about Stillman, never played them. We do know they're here in Alabama. They are carrying, I think, a 6-4 record right now. We'll get involved in watching them and trying to get as much film as we can get from, of course, when you plan out a conference, your rules and stuff as far as exchanging film and stuff is kind of out of the window. So we'll get a game plan ready for them, and we'll get our guys ready to play.
All right, the floor is now open for Alabama State head coach Reggie Barlow.
Hey, Coach Barlow, good morning to you. Ty Miller from SBN Sports in Pittsburgh. How are you?
Oh.
Coach, it's not Tuskegee, but taking on Stillman is down there close in Tuscaloosa. Do you anticipate the same type of enthusiasm, even if it were not homecoming for this Turkey Day Classic?
I mean, for the student athletes, I think it's another opportunity to play, and be excited about that. But it's obviously for our fans. I mean, there will be a couple people that it's not Tuskegee, so I'm not going. I guess the positive thing about it is a holiday, and a lot of people that went to Alabama State or grew up here in Montgomery, that's something that they've done forever. They come back home to see their parents, and the game is part of that. So, Tuskegee, I mean, that game is, I mean, it's as intense as it gets, and hopefully we can start a new rivalry here with Stillman.
So, Coach, you say you haven't done much homework on the Tigers as of yet, but they've taken on people like Miles College, who they play close, and Miles plays Tuskegee. So there's some semblance there. So do you anticipate, I guess, for them, it's a chance to knock out one of the big boys?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a Division II, getting an opportunity to play against FCS school, and a lot of those kids that are over there probably were, guys that we might have looked at and recruited, and so I definitely see that. I mean, they were quick to step up to the challenge when Tuskegee said they wasn't going to play her. So I imagine those guys are going to be ready to play, and we got to get film. I mean, they only want to exchange one tape with us, and that's like not, typically you don't do, you exchange a couple more. So we just got to figure it out, get a plan together, keep it as simple as possible so our guys can go out and play fast and play with a lot of confidence.
And finally, Coach, you just struck a nerve there, because I've heard oftentimes in the SWAC and even the MEAC and some other conferences, particularly black college football, where there is sometimes a reluctance to exchange film. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, it's I guess they don't want you to see all of their stuff, but I mean, if you've been around this game long enough, of course you know that that's just the etiquette of it. You exchange the film. I mean, and you try to exchanges. Whether it's 2 games or 3 games. I mean, you do it. And when we played Kentucky, it was, hey guys, we want to exchange 3. That's what they typically do. So I mean, it was no big deal. And I just think we just need to represent our schools and our conferences a little bit better, where, you just make it even and exchange it and you move on.
Still got time to take questions for Reggie Barlow, head coach at Alabama State.
Coach, a lot of ball carriers this last weekend. Is that a result of Mississippi Valley's defense, or are you just trying some new things on the offensive end as far as preparing some of the younger guys for next season?
It was a combination of both. Valley defense is good. Those guys are physical. Those ends are athletic, and I mean, those guys they play the game the right way. So I think, Isaiah has been a little banged up. Malcolm Sayers, he tried to play. He's been banged up. And we was just looking for somebody that, if the hole is not there, we just needed somebody to just run it up in there anyway, to try and create some type of energy and power and all that stuff. So Jahi Coleman is a young man running back for us that we got a lot of confidence in, and I think he's going to be a good one. He plays the game the right way. Him and Andre Kinsey, another young man who's a freshman. Those guys, they've been looking to play a lot. Khalid Smith, the other freshman that we got from Kentucky. So, we think we got a lot of confidence in those guys, and obviously we want to get them out there and give them a chance to play.
Do you have any more questions for Reggie Barlow? All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and we wish you well in a couple of weeks against Stillman.
Right on.
Thanks a lot. That's Reggie Barlow, head football coach at Alabama State University. Again, this past weekend they defeated Mississippi Valley State 19-7. They're off this week, and they'll go back at it Thanksgiving Day on ESPNU, hosting Stillman for a 4 p.m. kickoff. Next up, we head to Alcorn State University and talk things over with head coach Jay Hobson. Alcorn State defeated Jackson State by a final score of 48-33, and it was the final game of the season for Alcorn State. Good morning, Coach Hobson. Are you with us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Coach. If you could talk about that victory over Jackson State and preview what you guys will get into in the off season as you head into spring as well.
It was certainly it's always good to finish up with the win over Jackson, but I thought we played hard and we made a lot of plays in the first half, which was good to see. And it was a game where I thought we played physical. I really did. And I thought, the second half we had a pretty good lead, and it was, just didn't want them to hit too many quick strikes on us, so we kind of I thought we did some good things in the second half offensively, moving the ball, and defensively we just kind of tried to keep the ball underneath us. But, we get ready for this upcoming off season. We just got to get ready and get back to work and try to get better at some of the little things. We was just that's basically what it's all about. Just, we'll give them about a week off and we'll get back to work, and it's just part of the process of trying to get better.
All right, thanks, Coach. The floor is now open for Alcorn State head football coach Jay Hobson at Alcorn State.
Coach, a lot of milestones to end the season. I mean, first winning season since 2000. I think the first time Alcorn State has won 9 wins since 84. I mean, looking back at the start of this season, did you ever feel, I mean, of course, every team wants to do well, but you ever felt like if this was achievable?
Well, I think we
around
definitely.
your short span there?
Yeah, well, definitely. If you'd have told me at the beginning of the year 9-3, I'd have said I'd take it. I'd take it. There's no question about that. It was a season that I thought, I was really proud of the kids. We know, of course, if you followed us closely, the 1918 game to Alabama A&M was a heartbreaker. Just missing that field goal late in the game, but at the end of the day, I thought our guys played hard every week. I was definitely extremely proud of these guys, the seniors, the leadership, the football team, and I think I saw a team as the year went on get better and better, and that's always a positive. That's what you want to see as a football coach. You want to see them make that progression. I think they're getting better each week, and now we have the battle and the challenge to continue that and get better through the all season, which is extremely important.
Can you share with us just this team's ability to respond after that loss to Alabama A&M and to
It's what makes you proud as a coach, really. That to me, to me that's almost more important than anything. You want to win championships, but the fact that after that heartbreaking loss to come back the way this team did, especially the last 2 weeks, tells me a lot about the football team, and just extremely proud of that. That's probably what I leave this season being the most proud of, the way this team just continues to battle.
Coach, talk about the difference in that game in the first half and in the second half. And you guys held on to win, of course, there in the second half. What was the difference overall?
Well, I think the first half, I thought we played really well in all phases in the first half, and we made some big plays. I think defensively, offensively, we had some big plays. We got up 31-3, and then of course, coming in the second half, it's you got to be ready. It's a 0-0 game. We had a block punt for 2 points, and then they scored, but then we answered with a touchdown, and then there was about 6 minutes to go in the third, and it felt like it was, you never say it's over. We felt like the game was pretty much in hand. And then, defensively, we just said, hey, we're gonna, keep the ball, and we kind of did a lot of prevent stuff and just try to keep the ball under us and let them take it, but just make sure if they do drive it, the clock's running, And so that was we probably changed our mentality a little bit in the second half. We started running the ball a little bit more there late in the third, and just wanted the clock to run.
Coach, you defeated both of the teams that are playing in the actual championship game. Any idea on what the outcome will be on this one? What do you anticipate?
Two very good football teams. Really, it should be a battle. As coaches, it's hard. I see both teams. Both have extremely good quarterbacks. They're both powerful on offense. Both have very good defenses. Run hard the ball. I mean, it's one of those games that they played each other earlier in the year, and that was just a down to the last second game. And I think we're going to see more of the same in the title game. I think it's going to be a hard fought, close football game. Just watching them both on film, I think they're very evenly matched, and I think it should be a really fun game to watch.
Coach, looking at your program, I mean, a lot of youth. Last season, you played a lot of freshmen. What do you attribute their development to? I mean, what were some of the things that you did practice-wise, and speaking to the athletes to help nurture them and have such a great turnaround this season?
Well, I think we've got, like I said, we did have a lot of young guys. I think that's the beautiful thing with young players. You hopefully they just continue to get better. And I think at all positions, just like anything we talked about earlier in the season, anything in life, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And I think our guys are kind of were really feeling their way, last year, and I think they're getting better. And our job as coaches is to continue them to get better and better. So hopefully. That's our mission, and we have to go to work, or give the players, give the coaches a lot of credit. They did a great job, but we we got to continue that growth and continue to fine tune on the little things and the things that we didn't do well this year and get better at them.
I mean, last year, a lot of your freshmen played majority of the season. Did that have something to do with it as far as when you look at programs?
I think so. I think, I mean, I think a lot of, again, I think, you live and learn through experience, and I think that's something that has had a big part to do with it. And just, we do have a small senior class this year, but we have to, like I said, next year's next year, and so we have to get ready. I mean, it's, this year's in the past, and we have to get ready to be better.
Coach, what kind of satisfaction do you get despite your season being over and knowing that you beat both teams who are in the SWAC championship game?
I think the kids feel good about it. I think they do. I think it is I think that is a good honor to have, just knowing that, it's one of those deals. I think it gives them a little bit of solace, I think. I mean, at the end of the day, it's tough losing that game to A&M, you know what I'm saying, with the missed field. We had it first and goal on the 1 or the 2 with about a minute and a half to go and didn't get anything out of it. But like we talked about, defensively we could have made a play. Special teams we could have made a play. Offensively we could have made a play. So we got what we deserved at the end there. But I think the kids are I think that they are, I think they're proud of that, and that's something that, at the end of the day they can hang their hat on. But, we know we have some room for improvement in certain areas, and we've got to get better in certain areas. So it's, that gives us a challenge and gives us something we have to go strive to do better in off season.
And finally, Coach, with expectations probably being higher for next season, how difficult would it be to build on it with the months in between playing your last game until your next game next season?
Well, I mean, that's a good thing about playing and coaching. It's any coach in the league or any coach in NCAA football. I mean, next year's next year. You have to get ready for it. It's a different season. It's a different battle, and so that's one thing I love about football week to week. I mean, it's what's done this week is done, and you got to get ready for next week. And that's just part of it. I don't know if there's anything you build on. I think it's what's done is done, and you got to get ready to get better.
Do you have any more questions for Jay Hobson, Alcorn State head football coach? All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and good luck to you during the off-season and your preparations.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
A lot. That's Jay Hobson, head football coach at Alcorn State University. Again, they defeated Jackson State 48-33 this past weekend, and that was their final game of the season. We move along now to University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff and Monty Coleman. Arkansas Pine Bluff fell to Alabama A&M by a final score of 50-42. Their season, however, is not done. They travel to Texas to face Prairie View this weekend for a 1 p.m. kickoff. Good morning, Coach Coleman. Are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Morning, Coach. If you could talk about your game with Alabama A&M and preview Prairie View, if you will.
Well, this past weekend game against A&M was a hard-fought football game, like we knew it would be going down to Huntsville. I knew that Coach Jones would have his team ready to go, and he did. Had a lot of incentives riding. There was senior night for them, and senior day, I should say. And they came out and they played extremely well. My take from it was whoever had the ball last would probably end up winning the football game, and that's what it pretty much boiled down to. We had 2 costly interceptions in the game, and that also contributed. But Alabama came out to play, and they played well at home. We did some good things. I was proud of our guys, real proud of our team for fighting. I lost my starting middle linebacker. He didn't play, couldn't travel because of a bad bruised leg. My starting strong free safety, Rucker, he couldn't travel, so we ended up playing another freshman. So overall to be in the game with some of the guys that we had, with Jeremiah Young, one of our starting running backs, wasn't able to play because of a concussion. It was a good football game. I take my hat off to Coach Jones and his team, and they played well. We traveled to Houston this weekend to play Prairie View, and we'll be fighting again, trying to get us our third win for the season. And it's been a disappointing season, but it's also been an encouraging season for us and for me and the coaching staff. A lot of the young guys have really stepped up and played well, have made improvements each week, and that's what we expected from them. So we'll go down and we'll play our last game against Prairie View this weekend, and then we'll start working toward next season.
All right, the floor is now open for Monty Coleman, the head football coach at Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Coach, I see. Can you give me Dryden's condition for the Prairie View game? He just missed the Alabama A&M game.
Yeah, it's a day-by-day deal. He's got a contusion on his calf, down on his shin, I should say. I see, close to his ankle, and it's given him some problems to push off. So we tried him in practice last week. Wasn't able to go, so I made a decision to just leave him back just to rehab, with the expectations that he will be able to play against Prairie View this coming weekend.
Right. Was he injured in the previous game, or was he injured during practice?
No, he was actually injured in the Grambling game. Someone fell on his leg in the Grambling game. If you notice, he didn't play at all the second half of the Grambling game.
Right. Okay. All right. Coach, an interesting stat here. Every time Ben Anderson has thrown for 300 or more yards, it's ended up in a losing effort. How do you explain that?
The only way I can explain it, Ben, I think Ben is off to, or not off to, but he's had a great season, both rushing the football and passing the football. The thing that we're having our shortcoming right now, I see, is on defense. We're banged up. We're very, very young on defense. We've got more of the returners on offense than we do on defense, and it shows in our output. Anytime you can put 42 points on the board, you would think or would hope that you would be able to win. But, even with the offense putting up the points that they're doing, unfortunately, because of the youth that we do have on the defense, lack of experience on the defense, if we put up 42, they put up 43. So Ben is doing what he's supposed to do. The offense is we've got some shortcomings on defense right now.
Speaking of that, Prairie View has a highly charged offense. What adjustments do you make from giving up 50 points against Alabama A&M, knowing you're going to have to slow down Prairie View?
There's no adjustments necessarily that we have to make. We just got to play better defense. I feel very confident in the game plan that we have going into each game defensively. And the thing that we've got to do is in each game that we've lost, we've given up several big plays in the passing game. Well, and the thing that we've got to do is come back and try to eliminate those big plays this weekend against Prairie View. So if we can do that, then I think we'll fare well against Prairie View. But it's just a matter of not giving up the big plays week in and week out. The effort is there. The guys are playing hard. There's no question. They're playing extremely hard. It's just that we're breaking down at a very inopportune time in the game. And when we do, a lot of times it results into a touchdown.
Thank you.
Coach, I know your season's not over yet. You still have one more game yet. Looking back at the preseason, the amount of players you had selected to the preseason teams, and then you go into August, and then you have players that were not eligible. Did that kind of break the tone of the season and cause a distraction? You guys just really weren't able to make connections around on the offensive, defensive end due to the lapse in preseason?
I think it was a distraction maybe the first couple of ball games, but once we got into SWAC play, the distractions left. It left from the coaches, of course, because a lot of the guys that weren't eligible to play of course, we were looking forward to having those guys out. Having those guys out there. So it was a slight distraction. I was able to reel them back in and let us know that, hey, what we have is what we have. We've got to play with the guys that we've got. And once we did that, I did see an improvement week in and week out. A lot of the games that we lost, we were actually in the ball game until late. And I think that's where the youthfulness of our team kind of didn't pick up. But overall, I thought we made tremendous progress each week. After the first two ball games, we made tremendous progress, and the guys accepted it and accepted their role. It's just that we got outplayed on plays. We gave up big plays too much throughout the year, and I think that was our downfall. We have a good football team. There's no question about it.
Still taking questions for Money Coleman, head coach at Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Coach, how pleasant was it to, Dez got a season high in catches and receiving yards, and, we know he had a slow start to begin the season. How pleasant was it to see him start fast?
It was very pleasant to see Beverly. It's his senior year. He's got one game left. In games past, he's been our go-to guy. For reasons we hadn't been able to get the football to him like we wanted to. He made some tremendous catches, some balls that it was very windy there in Huntsville this week. So the ball was kind of floating with the quarterbacks. And Beverly actually went up and caught a couple 2 or 3 passes that very easily could have been incomplete. So he gave a great effort. He had 9 catches for 174 yards, I believe it was. Had a long for 62. So Bev played well for us this year. And that's the type of ball that we know that he was capable of playing.
Do we have any more questions for Money Coleman, Arkansas Pine Bluff head coach? All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and we'll wish you well this coming week at the Prairie View.
Thank you very much. Now, do we call in next Monday?
No, I'm sorry. This is the final call of the season.
This is final. All
yes,
right.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for asking. Appreciate that.
All right.
And, yes, while we are on that note, this is the final conference call of the 2013 season. Our next call will come the Monday of the football championship, which is December the 2nd, and it will also be at 10 a.m., and that conference call will be between Jackson State and Southern University only. So all of the media members that are participating on this call, again, December 2nd, 10 a.m., we'll have a football championship conference call, but this is the final regular season conference call of the season. We'll move along to Grambling State now, and we'll talk things over with interim head coach Dennis Winston. Grambling has a long layoff, of course. They'll play their final game November 30th at 1:30, facing Southern University in the Bayou Classic in New Orleans. Good morning, Coach Winston. Are you with us? Looks as if we're a little bit early and we do not have Coach Winston on with us at the current moment. So what we'll do, we'll run over some things that we did not get a chance to recap earlier. We'll talk about the standings and the final standings, that is. Well, actually not the final standings. The final standings won't be until after the final game, which is November 30th, this coming Saturday. But we'll run through the standings and the current records as it stands right now in the Eastern Division. Overall, Jackson State is number 1 with they're 8-3 on the season. They're 8-1 in conference play. Alcorn State finished their season with a 9-3 overall record. They are 7-2 in conference play. Alabama State is 7-4 overall, and they're 7-2 in conference play. Alabama A&M They are currently 4th in the conference. They're 4-7 overall and 4-5 in the league. Mississippi Valley State also finished the season 2-9 overall, 2-7 in the conference play. And just so I can correct myself, in the East, it is actually Jackson State. You talk about the forfeit; they are 7-3 overall, as opposed to 8-3. And you may see a different record on other websites around the area. So make sure you're knowledgeable that the overall record with the forfeit for Jackson State is 7-3 overall. And the Western Division. In the Western Division, it goes as follows. Southern University tops the West. They are 7-4 overall. They are 6-2 in conference play. Prairie View is 5-6. They finished second so far in the league. They're 4-4 overall. Arkansas Pine Bluff third in the West. They're 2-8 in overall and 2-6 in conference play. Texas Southern is in fourth. They're 2-9 and 2-7 overall. And Grambling State, with the forfeit, they are 1-9 overall and 1-7 in conference play. So those are our standings as it stands right now in the Southwestern Athletic Conference play.
Could you repeat that Jackson State information one more time, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. You may see that their overall record right now is 8-3. However, when you talk about the Grambling State early season, they're 7-3 as opposed to 8-3. All right, we'll move along now, and hopefully we've got interim head coach Grambling State on. We were a tad bit earlier. Dennis Winston. Coach Winston, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry we were a little bit earlier. We're ahead of the call. Thanks for joining us. If you could, long layoff here, and you're getting ready for the Bayou Classic with Southern. It takes place November 30th at 1:30. If you could talk about and preview the things that you guys are preparing for right now.
Well, the first thing we're doing right now, we're trying to get on the road recruiting right now, trying to make sure that, we bring the right players in next year. We're also just right now concentrating on focusing on the Bayou Classic and getting our guys ready for this upcoming game.
All right, the floor is now open for interim head coach at Grambling State, Dennis Winston.
Good morning, Coach. Sean Isabel over at the News Star.
Good morning.
You mentioned recruiting. Guessing you've been doing a lot of it, like you said. How much more difficult, if any, is it with everything that's going on this year? Or do you think that might actually help y'all with just the national attention you received back in October?
Well, I think what it's doing is helping us a lot recruit the young men, the type of young men that we had planned on bringing in the first place. But now we're getting overabundance of guys that are calling us and wanting to come and play for us.
As an interim coach, does the recruiting process change at all, knowing that you don't really know what your future is for next year?
Well, the one thing I do, I just continue to do my job, try to recruit the best student athletes that I can, and the coaches are working, they're doing the same thing. Our focus right now is on recruiting and playing in the Bayou Classic and winning it.
In terms of football, how much practice have y'all been doing, or are you giving the guys some time off to rest a little bit?
No, they don't have any time off. We don't want them to become idle, so that's one thing we don't want them to do.
What's been the main focus in practice so far?
Well, it's just basically concentration on working on techniques, working on game plan, making sure we're doing the things that we're supposed to do, correcting mistakes that they've made in the past, and, just doing the things that it takes for us to win the football game.
You play a lot of guys. How has these past couple weeks helped, and this next week going to help with some of those guys getting, especially the young guys, getting them increased practice reps?
Well, I think what it is, I'm the type of coach that I like to play a lot of people. I think you recruit people in order to play them. And so I think you get a lot more out of players if they know they're going to be participating, and that, hey, their parents and people are going to be there to see them play.
On the quarterback side of things, who's been taking the majority of the first team reps? Is it DJ or Jonathan so far?
Well, they're still taking same amount of reps. You know, we want to make sure that both of them know exactly what to do when they get in the game, and so everything's pretty much balanced. You know, 50-50.
All right. So looking at Southern, you know, they're one of the two teams in the SWAC that's averaging less than 100 yards, but obviously their passing game's well known. How do you guys trying to prepare for that in terms of, you know, schematic approach defensively?
Well, schematically, we plan on just doing the things that we've always done. You know, a lot of people like to say, you know, you score a lot of points, but most teams are scoring points now. It's turned into pretty much an offensive game, and you know the thing about it is we've got to find a way defensively to stop them from scoring the football, especially through their passing game.
The last thing, SWAC came out last week with their ruling of a potential fine and making Grambling play at Jackson State the next 3 years. What are your thoughts on that?
To be honest with you, I think it's not the right thing to do, but you know whatever they say we got to do. We'll play football with anybody. It doesn't matter who, when, or where. You know, we're going to line up. If they put the football down, we're going to play.
Thanks, Coach.
Still taking questions for Dennis Winston, head coach at Grambling State.
Coach, you probably have answered this question before. Would you want the opportunity to continue as Grambling State's head coach?
I think any coach want to continue to be the head coach at a major university like Grambling State University. It's you know, right now it's the place to be, and it's a lot of things happening. It's exciting around here right now. The young men are ready to play football, and you know, naturally, yes, I'd like to be the head football coach here.
They got time to take questions for Coach Dennis Winston.
Coach, you share your experience in games, coaching games in the Bayou Classic, or your experience in football surrounding the Bayou Classic.
Well, the last time that I played in the Bayou Classic, I think, you know, we didn't fare well, but, you know, it was just, I think they beat us by a touchdown. That was when Coach Richardson was there. The most rewarding time, I think, was in 1992 when we won the national championship, and we came from behind to beat Southern in the Classic.
Coach, talk about some of the guys who are stepping up as leaders on the football team.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you.
Talk about some of the guys who have stepped up as leaders on this football team.
Well, pretty much our seniors have stepped up. You know, I think Clint has stepped up. He's doing some things now. He's not getting as many penalties as he had in the past. I think he's a little more focused on what he needs to get done as a offensive lineman, and he's really working hard on his technique and doing the things it takes. Naquan Smith, you know, a senior, making sure it gets behind, you know, those guys in the game, they help keep everything settled.
Your experience revolving and surrounding this game, does it always have the feel that when you guys step on that field, that records and championships are out the door, and that records are 0-0 when matching up against Southern for the Bayou Classic?
It's 0-0. Anytime Grambling and Southern plays in the Bayou Classic, it's just like playing in a major bowl game, or the Super Bowl, the Grey Cup, any of that. It'll fare well with any large bowl game, Rose Bowl, whatever. It's you can throw everything out the window now. I think both sides going to just lay it on the line, and this is the championship of the SWAC. Believe me.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today, and we wish you guys well in the Bayou Classic this coming on November 30th.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. That's interim head coach at Grambling State, Dennis Winston. And again, Grambling will take on Southern. That's Saturday, November 30th at 1:30 p.m. Next up on the call, we have Jackson State head football coach Rick Comanche. JSU fell just short to Alcorn State this past Saturday, 48-33. And they will now prepare for the Southwestern Athletic Conference Football Championship, December 7th at 1 p.m. at Reliance Stadium. Good morning, Coach Comanche. Are you with us?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Doing well, Coach. Thanks for asking. If you could talk about the game this past weekend with Alcorn and talk about your preparations as you get ready for the SWAC Championship now.
Well, when you first said it was a tight game, it wasn't tight. We just took an good old-fashioned tail beating, in this game, and they played well. They did a good job on offense, did a good job on defense, and I take my hat off to coach and his players. They just did a fantastic job. They came in with a lot of passion to play the game, and they beat us, and they deservingly won that game, and and so that's all I got to say about that. You can't say much, when the team comes in and put it on you the way they did. So, I give them a lot of credit. As far as next week is coming up concerned, as far as the championship is concerned, we're preparing right now, trying to, get ourselves ready. After coming off a loss, you have to change something, and so, we're looking at what we need to, change. Be prepared for this game coming up, and that's all we're focusing on right now. And is another win, trying to get a win under our belt and trying to win the championship. Is something that we dreamed of when we started August 1, and that's what we're after. We of course we hated to have the bump in the road like we did, but it happens. That's football, and young people can let it go a little easier than coaches, and our team has put that behind us. We watched film yesterday, got it out of our system, corrected what we could correct, and sorry we made a ton of mistakes in that game. It wasn't as much as what we thought was happening on the field, as much as we weren't going by design, but yet and still it happens, and not by going by design. I think they show where things hurt. It showed how you can be hurt, and they exploited it very, very well. And so I give them a lot of credit, and it was a great season for them. And I'm just happy to be able to go and represent the East, and and try to show that we're a better football team than we showed the other night, and go from there.
Floor is now open for Jackson State head coach Rick Comanche.
Good morning, Coach. Sean Isabella over at the New Star in Monroe.
How you doing, Sean?
Good. Just wanted to get your thoughts on the SWAC's ruling they came out with last week regarding the Grambling situation, the potential fine, and Grambling now has to play at Jackson State the next 3 years. What are your thoughts on the situation? Was it excessive? Was it
Sean, I really don't get involved in none of that. Just not to be rude or anything of that nature, and not want to answer your question. I leave that up to the AD and those people who handle that. You always hear different things. Like today, where the SWAC made a ruling on we were 8-3, and now today the SWAC saying we're 7. That's why I really try not to pay attention to any of those type of things and just worry about the football team and, try to keep on to the X's and O's, because if I worry about things outside, it'd be just too much, and I'm not going to lay that pressure on the kids on what somebody else say, what your record is, or somebody else. We know it was a forfeit. They know it was a forfeit, and, so whatever pressure it is put under somebody to say opposite, then that's on them.
Still got time to take questions for Coach Comanche.
Coach, you are aware that the forfeit was allotted in the conference standings and was not charged in the overall.
We are in the conference, so I don't know, but that's okay. I don't care what it is. I'm past that now and moving forward.
In your tenure and your experience as in coaching football, as far as heading into the championship game, not to say that playing in the championship game is easy, but as far as not having the pressure on in the conference slate undefeated, as opposed to finally having a loss and moving on to playing this game without that pressure.
Well, I don't know about that. I just think that God has a way of sometimes, he knows what you need before you even play it, maybe, and I just feel that, it was meant to be and it happened. And he's given us a test on our character, and I follow that, and as long as I continue to follow that rule of faith, and, I think it keeps us grounded.
Coach, you're close to that national area in Alcorn. You guys pretty much recruiting in the same area. Can you share with us just your thoughts on what Hobson has done in his short span as head coach at Alcorn State and the turnaround season that they've had?
I think he's done a tremendous job. I might take my hat off to him. I think he's done a tremendous job of getting those guys ready and playing a solid football game, and they played solid football game, and and giving them that passion that they need to overcome and win games. And so, you can't say much more. He's a good football coach, and this conference is loaded with good football coaches. And I heard Coach Winston. I wish that he gets that job. Down at Grambling, I think he's deserving of it. And I don't know how they, how people work, but I can hear it in his voice that he wants it, and I think he's the right guy for it.
Hey, Rick, good morning to you. It's Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting.
Hi, Ty. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Coach. I do want to talk to you later on, if possible, about that record change, because we caught some flack for that ourselves last year. We didn't know win. Anyway, just to move past that, does having that extra week to prepare for Southern when they take on Grambling help your team in any way?
Sometimes, having that extra time helps, but then sometimes it throws your timing off, and that's why, we have to come up with a good plan as coaches to make sure our time is not thrown off. We realize that, Thanksgiving is coming up, and what do you do when some families all like to get together on a Thanksgiving day? Do you work right through Thanksgiving and say, bump it, or you give them some time? And, and so we got to make that decision. And my decision right now, I think I'm just going to give them a few days off to go home, for that holiday weekend and get them right on back so that we don't lose any time and then, stay in full pads as long as I can. And, instead of going light, try to keep the work steady. And, instead of going light on Thursday or half pads, continue going heavy until we give them that time off, then bring them back and go a normal week, because I want to keep our timing. And we got a lot of work to do, and things that we should have done, and we can't understand it. We're sitting there going, wow, we're trying to make the adjustments that we didn't have to make adjustments. It just a matter of kids playing. But that's just the way it is. It's football, and the guys are young, and and so you got to move on to the next one. And you can't hammer them home to it. You just got to be positive in your coaching, and I try to stay as positive as possible and be a good teacher.
In terms of Southern, looking ahead to them and winning that first game 19-14, how much will you rely on the tape from that game, or will you look at how much Southern has grown since September 28th?
Well, you got to see their growth, and you got to see, things that, I see on film. Yeah, as I watch the film today, I see Southern. You know what I'm saying? In Alcorn, I see similar formations. I see, we're coaches, so we see what somebody else has done. And so I see the patterns. And so a lot of alike things that you see. And that hurts you maybe in the past. So we have to go back and not just look at Southern, but look at the things that have hurt us, and as other offenses would look at it, and so we have to go back and look, and defenses, and so, we have to go back and look at those things first, and then we can start planning on what we're planning on, because there are some things that we see that are similar that need to be corrected, and that all three teams, from Alcorn to Southern and Prairie View have ran, and so we see the similarities in it. And so right now it's time to digest those similarities instead of winning and walking by it, because a loss, makes you dig a little deeper, I think.
Well, Coach, after winning 7 straight, can you put your finger on it? Was it just a different feeling when you took to the field this week?
Well, I really felt that we were ready to play. I mean, it was kids' senior day. A lot of people in the stadium. I thought the kids came out of the locker room ready to play. They came out of the locker room ready to play, and they just kind of, I think we fell behind or one of the, they just kept playing a solid error-free football game where we were 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions, fumbles. I mean, we fell back into that syndrome that we don't want to fall back into, and it hurt us, and so we just have to make sure that we're pointing those things out, and next time we go out, try to play better. I think we got the type of guys that will play better. I mean, you can't just go out and will a team to lose, or you gotta. It's football. It's a man's. It's physical, and they put on their jock the way we put on our jock, and so we have to go out and play each and every game. I did think we were prepared to play though, Ty.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Coach, we appreciate your time, and we thanks for joining us today as you get ready for the SWAC Championship on December 7th. This is the final call for others, with the exception of you and Southern. We will talk to you again on December the 2nd, which is the Monday of the championship game at the same time, 10 a.m.
Yes,
this
10 a.m. on December 2nd.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That's Rick Comanche, head football coach at Jackson State University, and again, they remain off until December 7th, which is the SWAC football championship. We'll move along now to Mississippi Valley State and Carl Morgan. Mississippi Valley fell to Alabama State at home 19-7 this past weekend, and that does round out their season. Good morning, Coach Morgan. Are you with us? Looks as if we don't have Coach Carl Morgan.
Hello.
Good morning, Coach. I'm sorry. We got
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Good morning. If you could talk about your battle with Alabama State this past weekend, and that rounds out your season. Talk about what's next for Mississippi Valley.
I thought we had a chance. Got out to a 7-0 lead. They came back and got 2 field goals. Got a field goal, I guess, with about 4 or 5 seconds left to play in the first half, and then we got the ball and threw a pass down the field, like a last second deal, Hail Mary deal, got intercepted and they returned it for a touchdown, and that was I thought was the deciding factor in that it swung momentum. So instead of going up 7-6 at half, we went down 12-7. We blocked the extra point, but and then they scored in the second half, I think in the third quarter, and that made it 19. And we had our chances to never did capitalize. We got down, I think, in the red zone. I know inside the 30 a couple of times. Didn't finish drives out, and consequently we lost. The ball game 19-7. I thought the kids were ready to play. I thought they played hard. Wanted to send the seniors out on a winning, positive note, but wasn't able to. right now we're in the process of finishing strong academically, getting out recruiting, going to see some mid-year junior college players here in the state of Mississippi, and trying to prepare for off-season workouts and spring practice.
Floor is now open for Mississippi Valley State head coach Carl Morgan.
Coach, as you look back at the season, what were some of the components you just ultimately did not have in order to have an improved season from last year?
I think we knew going in we had lost a lot of players off the team that had gone 5 and 6. A lot of guys that had played a lot of plays, and I think we knew that there was going to be a transition period there with the new guys we had coming in. We had a good number of junior college transfers who I think overall did a good job. And so I think that was the deal. The new influx of players, there was a transition there, and there was a learning curve there, just as far as how hard you got to play, how important execution is. And like I said, I think we're set for a real good year next year if we can go out and fortify the offensive line. We lost 3 out of the 5 starters from last year, and on the offensive line, and we thought we were going to have 4 out of the 5. We lost 2 to the eligibility process. So, and we got to replace. We got to do a great job of replacing the offensive line and getting our numbers up there. There's a couple other spots we need to shore up, linebacker and secondary. So I think that just the loss of a lot of players before the year started, after the year started with certification, I think that hurt us. And I think that a lot of guys played this year and will be better for that the following in 2014.
Talk about moving into next year and able to sustain your offense or create more offense. How important is that relationship and the cohesion between Stafford and Patrick Ivey?
Well, I think it's very important. I think that's one of the things we have to address. There's a lot of things we have to address this off season, and nothing will be left out. We've got to score more points. We've got to, we've got to stop people. Like I said, we hit a streak there in 3 games. We gave up 35.3 points a game in that 3-game streak against Grambling, Prairie View, and Arkansas Pine Bluff. And I know our red zone defense was atrocious this year. We got a lot of areas to look at, and like I said, we're going to honestly evaluate everything we've done this past year. Is it what we need to do? Is it too much? Is it not enough? And I think that's the only way you can grow with some honest evaluation. And so we got to look at everything, special teams. We got to look at the quarterback play. I thought Patrick Ivey made some strides, but he's got a ways to go as far as being a really good quarterback. And I think he's on the track to do that. We got to look at our receiver play. We dropped. We're going to go back and count them. Easily dropped at least 50, 60 passes this year. I know we dropped 7 against Pine Bluff. Yeah, Prairie View, excuse me. So we dropped a lot of passes. And we've got to do a better job. His throwing percentage would have been a lot higher if we'd have just caught the balls that were in the receiver's hands.
Without looking at the record and just looking at your personnel, would you say this year was a step back or a step forward as far as talent and personnel on the field?
Again, I don't think we were overly talented. We had some guys that were preseason picks, which is nice. And I think Stafford and Robert Simpson were 2 legitimate preseason picks. But other than that, I don't think, Avery Boykin came in and I think he's leading the country in FCS interceptions. He's a junior college transfer. I think he was a pleasant surprise. We picked him up late last spring from Arizona. Got a call from a coach. Had two guys sitting around, didn't have a place to go. Him and Sean Fugate, and I think they both came and did a real good job for us, and going to be big parts of the puzzle next year. But I don't think we were overly talented, to be honest with you. Offensive line, we struggled. I don't think we rushed. I think on one game this year we rushed for 100 yards. And we didn't have a lot of size on the offensive line. Very, very small, and it's hard to move people. The pocket got crushed all day Saturday by Alabama State just rushing those four guys. The two guys inside had some beef on it, and they just crushed the pocket continuously. So I think it was a step back in the sense that we thought we had gotten over the hump here, but realistically, knowing that we had lost a lot of players that had played a lot of football here the first 3 years I was here, we knew that was going to be a transition there. And I think there were 4 or 5 guys. Patrick Ivan made Newcomer of the Week 3 times in the conference, I believe. Sean Fugate was Newcomer of the Week. Avery Boykin was Newcomer of the Week. There was other guy who was Newcomer of the Week. So we had some Newcomers of the Week, and I think that shows something for the next year. So we've got to supplement those guys in the different positions that need help, and hopefully a great spring, a great off-season conditioning period, and we'll get back on track. Like I said, this was a deal where the train got up a little bit and then it started slipping back. So I think when you lose that many players through graduation, then we lost a decent number through certification. That we had for 2 or 3 games, and then we'd lose them again. We'd lose guys after the season had started. So I think that hurt us, and not making excuses, just the reality of the situation. So but I think going forward, I think we got some guys that we can build a solid team around next year.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and we wish you well in your preparations during the spring and getting ready for next season as well.
Thank you, sir. All right, take care.
That's Carl Morgan, head football coach at Mississippi Valley State, and their season is complete. We move along now to Heights Northern, head coach at Prairie View A&M, and Prairie View suffered a loss to Abilene Christian 65-45. They are one of 3 teams to be in action this coming week. They'll actually host Arkansas at Pine Bluff at 1 p.m. Good morning, Coach Northern. Are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
If you could talk about your battle with Abilene Christian and preview Arkansas Pine Bluff this coming week.
Well, it was another game almost just like quite a few others that we've played this year where we, sort of got into an offensive shootout. Both teams going up and down the field almost looked like pass scaler in the squad scrimmage for a minute. But at the end of the day, we didn't make enough plays on either side of the ball to win the ball game. And it's frustrating as a coach to sort of see games come out that way, and you feel bad for some of the guys that laid it all on the line for their other teammates. But at the end of the day, we still have to get back to the drawing board and get our guys to focus on doing a lot of the small things right. Because if you look at it and you see 65 points, you're looking like, man, what in the hell are they doing on defense? And then you go back and look at the film, and it's 10 guys doing exactly what they're supposed to do, and there's one guy that's not doing his job. That and the way football is right now, it's hard enough to stop people because you got the offensive lineman that can almost line up even with the quarterback in the shotgun, and you got passes being thrown with linemen downfield, and it's 1-on-1, and if one guy makes a mistake, it's the next closest guy may be 10 or 15 yards away. So we got to make sure that our guys are doing their job exactly the way that they're supposed to be doing it. And I told our guys we're going to prepare, like we were 10-0, and we would prepare the same way if we were 0-10. So we're going to go into this week, and we're going to get ready for Pine Bluff, a team that's going to bring another real good offense into our place. It's going to be senior day, so we have a chance to send our seniors out with a good taste in their mouth. We'll have a chance to finish 500. We'll have a chance to have a winning record at home. So it's still some things to be played for around here. So we gonna stay in and do what we need to do to get our team ready to play another good football team.
All right, the floor is still open now for Prairie View A&M head coach Jahi Coleman. Coach, what's been the positives and I guess the biggest disappointment so far this season?
I think some of the positives you can draw on some of the play of some of our offensive players. Jerry Lovelott arguably could be up there with Player of the Year recognition. Maybe had he not been hurt for a game or so. Deandre Cooper, who's right up there, just set the broke Otis Taylor's single season record here at Prairie View, and he's had some outstanding games of late, and if you know his story, just that in itself, him coming back to play football is a big plus. We've gotten some good play out of some of our young players on both sides of the ball. Offensive line wise, we've done pretty good with some young guys in a lot of sophomores, redshirt freshmen that have had to play a lot. And if you look at our secondary, we have 3 freshmen that's starting in the secondary, and one of them unfortunately just dislocated his shoulder and probably won't play this week. So, you have some pluses in there. Some of the biggest disappointments, I think, you have to start off with our defense. I don't care how you cut it up or who was out there. We got to find a way to get better up front. We got to find a way to get bigger in a hurry. And our philosophy, I think, may have caught up with us, where we've always had a speed-based defense. And, we take guys and try to get them bigger as opposed to taking big guys and try to get them to cut 30 pounds. So I think that sort of caught up with us because we've been able to do a good job with, taking a Quentin Spears who came as a walk-on wide receiver. He's playing in the NFL and, make a good football player out of him. Adrian Hamilton, who came as a linebacker, put him on the defensive line, and, he goes out and breaks the conference record for sacks. We didn't get that this year. So we're going to get at it recruiting-wise. We got some good young men that, we feel like we have a good chance to get because of how we were doing early in the season. Then when you look at it as if you're recruiting, you look at those numbers, early playing time means a whole lot to some of these young men. So they see that they can come in and, they come in shape and learn the scheme. They have a good chance of playing. So, those would probably be the biggest, pluses. And I think we're a little bit disappointed. I thought we'd be better in our kicking game as well. We've been erratic, to say it at best. From that standpoint, Chris came in as a preseason all-conference guy, and I think right now he may be, 4 of 11 or 4 of 12 on the year, and that's not what we expected from him. So we got to find a way to get better in a lot of phases of the game in a hurry. Or whoever the new coach that'll come in and be, he'll inherit some good guys. I'll tell you that much.
Floor is still open for Jahi Northern, head coach at Prairie View A&M.
Coach, I know you still have one game, and considering the amount of points the defense has given up, what are some of the major components you're missing? Is it from a scheme end or personal end? What are some of the components you think you're missing on that defensive side?
I think the biggest thing is just up front. Like I say, we've played about 5 or 6 games in a row and hadn't had one holding call against the opponent's offensive line. Now, that goes to effort, that goes to scheme, that goes to talent. So, and sometimes referees miss 1 or 2. So I think that's the biggest thing. Scheme-wise, I think if you talk to our players, they would say they are disappointed that they didn't follow through with playing their assignments the correct way. And you go back and look at it, there were quite a few plays where we had scot-free blitzers and they simply missed a tackle on the running back or missed a sack on the quarterback on multiple occasions. Everybody's running that power read. We run a blitz right into the power read. One guy's responsible for quarterback, one guy's responsible for the running back, one guy's responsible for pitch. And you look at it, on one play, the guy that's responsible for the quarterback, he takes the running back, quarterback runs 15, 20 yards. Correct the same guy and another guy that plays the same spot, same scenario, he makes the same mistakes. So I think a lot of times it's easy for other people to say, man, what in the hell are those coaches doing? But if you talk to our players, they are very disappointed that they didn't follow through with doing their assignments. So as coaches, we got to find a way either to simplify the assignments or do something totally different. So it's a myriad of things that we have to correct as coaches. Whether it's a personnel problem that we have or it's a scheme problem. And, for us as coaches, we'll always take the blame for it. We should have told that young man or showed that young man how to do his job better. That's what I say. But our players are very disappointed. Our defensive players in particular are disappointed that they feel like they keep letting the offensive side of the ball down.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us this morning. That's Heist Northern head coach at Prairie View A&M. And again, they'll host Arkansas at Pine Bluff at 1 p.m. this Saturday. Moving on now, we go to Southern University and talk things over with Dawson Odums. Coach Odums will remain off until the Bayou Classic on November 30th, 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, facing Grambling in New Orleans. Good morning, Coach Odums. If you could talk about your preparations for that as well, trying to get ready for the SWAC football championship.
Well, we just try to stay one game at a time, and, today is Monday. We have a traditional Monday practice, and, we played 5 games in a row, so we'll take it easy this week, really just working on the fundamentals. Our motto, if we take care of us, we'll worry about the opponent later, but we got to get better, fundamentally. We just come off a football game where we probably played the best that we could play up to this year from an execution standpoint, but they're not to the caliber talent that we're going to face in the Superdome. We're going to play against a Grambling football team that'll be eager and excited to play in the Bayou Classic. You can throw records out the window. That don't mean anything. You got to get ready to go play, and we'll be ready to play when it's time to kick it off. But we're just getting ready with the fundamentals, man. Just go practice today and really home in on getting our team focused for next weekend.
The floor is now open for Dawson Odums, head football coach at Southern University.
Coach, facing a Division II team like Clark Atlanta, who has a coach in their first year, in a game like that this late in the season, going into the championship and going into a big rivalry with the Bayou Classic, in what ways can a game like that help you? And in the same count, how many ways can it hurt you?
Well,
playing against an opponent like that, with as you said, wasn't at the caliber of team that you normally face.
Well, I think it'll allow us to gain some confidence. You don't want too many days off, man. I think the next 2 opponents that we're going to play are going to have 3 weeks off before we play them. So that's a lot of time. So, but it gave us a chance to really, in the second half, work on some things. We could focus in and do some things, especially from an offensive standpoint. Really couldn't do a whole lot defensively because they ran the wing T. So, we pretty much played one defense, got lined up, and executed. And that was a challenge to our guys. If we take care of us, then we won't have to worry about them. And we did a great job of that executing throughout that football game. But we'll be ready to play. We'll regroup today and start focusing in on Grambling.
Was the game plan to keep the ball on the ground, or did you look at the matchup and say, we prefer to run the ball? Did you having the advantage most of the game just to keep the clock running?
Well, in the first half, we opened up the playbook offensively and really moved the ball up and down the field. I think we had the ball, the majority in the plus territory. So I don't think they got a first down until midway through the third quarter. So. Then in the third quarter at halftime, I told the guys, hey, man, it's 26-0. We're not in the business of embarrassing anybody. We understand who we playing against. Let's really focus on our running game, and that's what we did. We haven't had much success running the football, and we wanted to gain some confidence, and we were able to do that because we had 2 backs that go over 100 yards. So, playing that opponent allowed us to really work on the running game without being in practice.
Can you share your experience, playing, or I mean, it's not playing, but with the Bayou Classic as a coach, and share with us that matchup from the Southern point of view?
Well, it means a lot to our fans and alumni. Everybody that's associated with Southern University. This is a big game. A lot of houses are split, and we understand the pressure of winning this football game. It's what our kids train for, and that's what I told them. After the Clark Atlanta game, my message to them is this is why you prepare 365 days for this one game. This is an in-state rivalry. It's got recruiting emphasis on it. So you owe it to not only yourselves and everybody else, but, we owe it to a lot of people that came before us to play well in this football game and represent Southern to our very best.
Still got time to take calls for questions for Dawson Odums, head coach at Southern.
Your running game on and off a lot early part of the season. You said you looked at the second half and was trying to clear up some areas in the run game. Specifically, what were some of the areas, and was there an improvement in what you were trying to do in the running game in the second half against CAU?
Well, just really continuity and belief, and we took our base plays and said, let's go execute them, and we wanted to watch, and when you look at the film, we saw good blocking at the point of attack, guys going where they're supposed to go, and we identified those guys who were going the wrong way. So, I think we got some things that we can look at on film, we can address, we can clean up, but I really thought the backs ran the ball hard. We had three backs that we really rolled in there. Leonard Tillery, Darius Coleman, and Colin Favorite. Tillery and Favorite both went over 100 yards. So, it's exciting to watch those guys gain those yards. But take my hat off to the offensive line. They were playing against an undersized offensive line, so they had to really have their fundamentals in order because they couldn't overstep. So they opened up some holes, and our running backs that had great vision in finding those holes. And we're going to need that going forward.
Do we have any more questions for Dawson Odums, head coach at Southern University?
Coach, you share with us, just Dre Joseph in the season that he's having. I mean, over 3,000 yards plus 20 or more touchdowns, and how important he has been to the offense and the turnaround this year.
Well, I think he's hitting his stride again and hitting it at the right time. When he's on, man, he's as good as anybody in the country. I think this past weekend he became the all-time leading passer here at Southern, and the kind of quarterbacks that they've had here. So I'm excited for him. I know he went through the middle of the season where he had a tough time, but we found a way to win football games, and he kept us in games. And now, as we get to November, he's starting to put the kind of games together that we know he could play all along, and it's showing. We're getting the wins, and he's got us in position to go into the Bayou Classic and then the championship game. So, we're excited about where he's at as a quarterback. He's continually getting better. He's put up some numbers this year that's like no other. He's probably thrown the ball more than any quarterback in our conference, and has just a higher completion percentage. So I'm excited for him. I think he's going to only get better, and he got 2 more games to add to that.
Coach Odums, we appreciate your time, and good luck to you in the Bayou Classic against Grambling State on November 30th.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot. That's Dawson Odums. Again, they'll face Grambling State in the annual Bayou Classic in New Orleans. 1:30 kickoff on Saturday, November the 30th. We'll move along now, and our final coach of the call today is Texas Southern head football coach Darryl Asbury. Coach Asbury fell to Howard 40-6 this past weekend, and their season comes to an end. Good morning, Coach Asbury. Are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning, Coach. If you could talk about the game with Howard and talk about your plans here as you approach the off season.
Well, this past weekend, of course, we lost. It was a tough loss for those guys. I think this was wasn't it wasn't our best performance all year. I thought that we started off pretty decent, and who knew that when we got up that morning, that was going to happen to us. I thought the kids, I don't know, we were flat. We didn't make a lot of plays that we usually would make. I thought Howard has a good football team, but I just felt that our guys we just didn't come ready to play Saturday. But we're moving forward. We can only sign 14 kids this recruiting session, and we're going to try to do our best. Like I told my coach a second ago, we're in a recruiting meeting now, whereas that these 14 that we sign, we can't miss. The disadvantage that we have is whoever we sign, whether it's high school, transfer, or junior college, they have to come in and play right now. That's big for us right now, the recruiting part of it.
All right, the floor is now open for Darryl Asbury, head coach at Texas Southern.
What was the team's morale like, Coach, during that earlier part of the game, or even that week leading into the game? Was there just a feel like after what has transpired in the conference slate that this Howard game really didn't mean much, or just your thoughts?
Well, it seems like it. I thought we had a good week of practice. The attitudes were good. But at the same time, when it came around like this, the outcome and the score, and of course our performance, it showed that these kids, how they say, hey, it's a non-conference game, and they were just, I don't want to jump the gun, but I don't know. I don't know if they were just, hey, we're ready to get it over with. Let's get ready for spring ball. But I kept trying to stress to them the importance of out of conference. We were not just playing for Texas Southern. We're playing for the whole SWAC conference. And they're young kids. We're a young football team. So we just need to get back in here and get ready for spring ball, get recruiting going, and let's see, can we turn this thing around.
Your thoughts on that MEAC SWAC? Football rivalry. Of course, you spent some time in North Carolina, seen a lot of MEAC football up close. Just your thoughts, or share with us, in comparison or contrast between the two football conferences, HBCU Division I football conferences.
Well, I think it's a great. I was glad that they came up with the MEAC and SWAC challenges. It gives you an opportunity for the two HBCU conferences to get together and play some exciting football. I think the brand of football is good in both conferences. I can say the MEAC has done well these last couple of years. They're going to the playoffs now, and the SWAC conference, we're not going to the playoffs, but I think as well that some part of the HBCU Division I gets an opportunity to represent in the playoffs. So I think they need to continue to keep the SWAC and MEAC challenge. It's good for both conferences.
Would you like to see Texas, or would you like to play and have your team play in the SWAC MEAC challenge anytime in the near future?
Yeah, I would. Hopefully 2015. Hopefully we'll have some more players in here by then.
So taking questions for Texas Southern head coach Dale Asbury.
Coach, looking back at last season and this season, what were some of the improvements that spotlighted your team, and some of the things you were impressed about in contrast to last year?
Well, I think some things really improved. Number one is our academics.
You know, we're out of APR problems. You know, when I took the job, I had to try my best to get the APR where it needs to be, win football games. Spent a lot of time dealing with academics when I first got here. So we're headed on the right path with that. The kids are going to class. APR is 961 for the single year. And now, you know, our special teams improved on the field. Our defense improved. You know, that was a big turnaround for us defensively. And then offensively, we were able to move the football a little bit better than we were last year. I think we need to really work on our red zone play now. And, you know, making plays. We need to go out and find us some more receivers and some linebackers and defense and offensive linemen. But with 14 scholarships, we really have to be, you know, mindful of the decisions that we make with the kids that we're going to bring in. We can't bring a ton of skill guys in, and you need to make sure the front end is fixed. So we have to be very selective. But I was very pleased with the play of our defense, our special teams again, even with our young field goal kicker. He missed a couple kicks during the season, but he's going to be a good one for us. He will grow and mature, and we're expecting great things out of him.